Unbreakable Boy was directed by John Gunn, who wrote the screenplay, and it was based on the book by Scott Lorette and Susie Flory, which itself was a true story. That accidentally rhymed, but I'm keeping it in. Why not? It stars Zachary Levi, Megan Fahey, Jacob Laval, and Drew Powell. And this isn't going to be a standard review, nor is it really an analysis. Like the title says, this is how this film broke me. And the inherent pun in this title now, it's wonderful happenstance. But I think the reason this got me so much is this is based on a real life situation. This is Ozman's real story. And as someone who, as of this going live, is just under a year post-diagnosis, it resonated with me because autism is neurodevelopmental. It's with you for your entire life. So just because I didn't have a label for it doesn't mean I didn't have the symptoms. And there's so many situations in my life that I was looking back on. This got me very introspective. The amount of times I cried, which is why I've said this film broke me, is ridiculous. I wasn't so much a fan of the religious stuff tacked on, and that's not really what resonated with me. It was the story of Ozman. Because one situation came to mind during the scene when Tyler basically gets him on his scripting loop and he's stuck just doing the what's it called? Few Good Men, I think. Take away my film fan card for not knowing that straight away. But still, when he's doing that whole impassioned speech and he can't get out of it, the fact that Tyler was like, oh, do this thing, it reminded me of when I moved areas. I struggled to fit in because, again, autistic and things like that, and also being uprooted has moved my structure away and made it much harder for me. So I'd have people asking me to sing, the Coca-Cola advert theme and various different songs and things like that, and I thought this was praise, this was recognition of my singing ability and things like that. But watching Tyler in this, was it an element of this? Performing monkey kind of thing. You're not really bothered about the monkey performing, it's just how I can make this thing do what I want. Maybe there was an element of that. I will never know, unless any of the people who knew me in middle school come forward and say, yeah, sorry, that's what we were doing. But I don't think it matters. I think what matters is the fact that this film was made well enough that that moment reflected in me. I held on to that thought and I was like, oh, I had that. The moments that, you're just in meltdown, you cannot function, everything is just too much and you just absolutely shut down. One of the moments of that just got me. So many elements of this around Austin's difficulty in navigating life as a child on the spectrum. It resonated with me. Is it a perfect representation of autism? No. I don't think any film media is. The only perfect representation of autism is people with autism telling you what it's like. That's the only perfect way, which I guess means this is kind of good, but it is filtered through, directors and everything like that. But the short version is, this is worthy of a watch. Try and ignore the heavy-handed, oh, but look, if you find God, it's great, especially if you do it through AA. And I'm not even talking about Zachary Levi's political stuff and everything like that. I'm separating art from artist in this. Taken on its merits, I think this is worth a watch to get the story of a real-life person's struggles being autistic. Yes, the Unbreakable also refers to brittle bone or osteogenesis imperfecta. I'm keeping that flub in. Which I don't have. That is not my experience, so I can only look at it from one side of it. But there's enough of it there that I get it. In fact, if I'd have had OI on top of it, I can understand how that would have made it much harder as well. Because if you're in a meltdown and you're flailing around. So yeah, ignore any of the stuff that you don't want to take away from this, but please look at it as someone's own tale of how autism didn't hold them back. It's a very inspirational film in that regard. Again, the unbreakable boy, you cannot break his spirit. That's what it means. But yeah, give it a watch. It's on Netflix, at least in the UK. I don't know about anywhere else. But yeah, I think it's definitely worth seeing, and I got a lot from it. Let's put it that way. So thank you very much for letting me talk about this, and until next time, as always, take care, especially if you have brittle bones.